Alright, let's talk about something crucial. It's called the burden of proof. Sounds a bit formal, doesn't it? Like something lawyers drone on about, but it's simple, really. If you make a claim, you back it up. You bring the evidence, the receipts, the proof. It's not on everyone else to prove you're wrong. That's just not cricket, is it? Or, fair debate. Now, why is this so important, you ask? Well, imagine a world without it. People could just say anything. The moon is made of cheese, someone shouts. Prove it isn't, they'd then demand. Debates would become a chaotic mess. A playground for the loudest, most baseless claims. No facts, just escalating absurdity. Think of the poor moon, constantly maligned. Let me give you a simple example. Suppose I tell you my cat can play the banjo, and not just play but headline festivals. The burden is on to show you. Maybe a video, a tiny banjo, cat-sized overalls. It's not your job to spend weeks trying to prove all cats everywhere are musically inept. That would be quite the undertaking, wouldn't it? And frankly, a waste of your valuable time. So, this burden of proof thing? It's fundamental, it's sensible. It's what separates a real discussion from two people yelling nonsense at a wall. It keeps conversations tethered to reality, or at least it's supposed to. It asks for a little bit of show your work, which, as we'll see, some people use the burden of proof as strategy to not argue, especially when their work is, shall we say, missing. So, speaking of inconvenient truths, let's talk about Andrew Wilson. He's a figure in the online debate world, known for many things, really. But tonight we're focusing on his unique debate style. He engages in discussions, often quite spirited ones. He has a certain way with arguments, a way that often leaves opponents bewildered, and not always in a good, my mind is expanded way, more like a what just happened way. One of Wilson's signature moves, it seems, is a delightful little shuffle with the burden of proof. Let's take his debate with Destiny on was January 6th an insurrection. As an example, the person arguing yes, in this case Destiny, holds the initial burden of proof. That means Destiny must 1. Define what counts as an insurrection. 2. Argue that the events of January 6th meet that definition, which he does. He provides a working definition of insurrection. For example, a violent uprising against the government with political goals, and then argues that the events on January 6th fits that description. At this point, Destiny is doing exactly what someone affirming a claim is expected to do. Wilson, rather than offering his own counter-definition or a clear denial, frequently challenges Destiny's framing. At one point, when asked to define his view of what constitutes an insurrection, Wilson, like a pussy, responds with something along the lines of, well, that's your claim, you have the burden of proof, not me. I don't have to define insurrection. Doesn't he have to? What is Andrew doing in this discussion if he have no understanding of the word insurrection? He should not even be capable of understanding the prompt, was January 6th an insurrection? If he disagrees, which is his position, he must understand the sentence, and by default, have his own understanding of the term insurrection. It would only make sense for him not to have a definition if the prompt of the debate was, is Destiny definition of insurrection correct? There, he can just do internal critique and not share his own definition. But the prompt was January 6th an insurrection, which entails that you understand the concept in order to say that in fact, it was not an insurrection. If he had no definition, he would not even understand the prompt. He should be confused. Well, he is, because clearly he does not understand what is burden of proof. Andrew argues like a pussy. He just uses strategies to avoid making arguments or taking a position, even when is implied that he must have one. If he spent the same time actually arguing instead of arguing in order to not argue, maybe, and just maybe, we could say at least he is a pussy of average intelligence. So what does a debate look like? Well, it's certainly not this game of hot potato with proof. In a genuine discussion, people present their claims, they offer evidence, they explain their reasoning. If someone disagrees, they explain why, they offer counter-evidence or point out flaws in logic. It's a constructive process, ideally, not an attempt to wear your opponent down with demands that only there to derail and avoiding discussing the topic in question. It's about building understanding, not confusion. That is Andrew's speciality. The goal of a good, hearty argument is not just to win by any means necessary. It's to explore ideas, to test theories, to poke and prod at concepts until they make sense, or until their weaknesses are revealed. It's how we learn, it's how we progress, it's how we collectively get smarter. Imagine that. A debate that leaves you informed, not just with a throbbing headache and a sense of futility. Now, if everyone debated like our friend Wilson with constant burden shifting and evasion, meaningful discourse would grind to a halt. As we all have seen with Andrews and his type argue, we'd all be stuck in an endless loop. I don't have to define insurrection, even though I disagree with your statement that an insurrection actually happened. I'm a pussy, and that's why I don't dare to share my understanding of insurrection. Even thought it is implied that I have one in order to disagree with you so nobody attacks my position. No progress would ever be made. We'd learn nothing, we'd achieve nothing. Except perhaps new levels of collective frustration, which I suppose is an achievement of sorts. Ultimately, holding ourselves and others accountable in a debate is imperative. The burden of proof isn't what Andrew think it is. He clearly do not understand it. It's the foundation of honest intellectual engagement. It's what allows us to move forward, to build knowledge, and to solve actual problems. So let's encourage more genuine argument, and a little less of the artful dodging, because frankly, we've all got better things to do than listen to a debate loop done by a pussy who argues just to avoid actually arguing.